Hold out your hand and look at it. Every bone, every layer of skin, every nerve ending that lets you feel the weight of the air pressing down on you right now, none of it existed for 99.99% of Earth's history. You are an afterthought, a late arrival, a footnote in a story so long that the chapter you live in hasn't even had time to develop a proper title yet. Let's do this properly. Stretch your arms out as wide as they go. Fingertip to fingertip, that entire span is 4.5 billion years. Every catastrophe, every extinction, every slow miracle that had to happen in exactly the right sequence for you to be alive right now. All of it, arm to arm. Your right hand is still molten. Your torso represents 2 billion years of single-celled life that accomplished more than any creature that came after it. Complex animals don't even show up until your left wrist, and all of recorded human history, every war, every empire, every name ever written down, fits on the white tip of your left fingernail. Let's walk through what happened in between. Around 4.5 billion years ago, somewhere on your right palm, a cloud of gas and dust spinning around a newborn star collapsed under its own gravity and formed a sphere of molten rock. That sphere was Earth. Not the Earth you know. A glowing ball of liquid metal and magma with no oceans, no breathable atmosphere, and a skylit, continuously by incoming debris. Not long after, something catastrophic happened that Earth could not have survived as a civilized world but absolutely needed. A planet roughly the size of Mars, traveling on an intersecting path, struck the young Earth at an oblique angle. The impact vaporized portions of both bodies and blasted a ring of debris into orbit. That debris coalesced under gravity into the Moon. The same collision that nearly destroyed the young Earth also tilted its axis to 23.5 degrees. That tilt is the reason every year has seasons. Every summer you have ever experienced is a consequence of that impact. The Moon then stabilized Earth's axial tilt, preventing the chaotic tumbling that Mars experiences without a large, stabilizing companion. Without the Moon, Earth's climate would have been so unstable that the patient march of evolution toward complexity might never have found enough stable ground to stand on. For the next several hundred million years, Earth was battered continuously. Asteroids and comets rained down in a period called the Late Heavy Bombardment. This sounds catastrophic. It was also paradoxically delivery. Those same impactors brought water. They brought organic compounds. The ingredients for life arrived on the same objects that were trying to destroy the planet. Around 4 billion years ago, near the base of your right thumb, chemistry crossed a threshold. In warm water, near heat, surrounded by the right minerals, molecules began copying themselves imperfectly at first, which was the whole point. The errors were the engine. Life had begun, not with a dramatic event anyone could have pointed to, with a molecular reaction in warm water that simply kept repeating, each copy slightly different. Each difference testing itself against conditions that killed some variants and allowed others to continue. For the next 2 billion years, from your right shoulder almost to the center of your chest, life remained invisible to the naked eye. This is the section most people skip over. That is a mistake. During those 2 billion years, life invented photosynthesis, the cell nucleus, and multicellular cooperation. Every biological process you depend on to stay alive was worked out by organisms you would need a microscope to see. Around 2.4 billion years ago, right around your sternum, one group of those microbes did something that changed the planet permanently and nearly ended everything alive in the process. Cyanobacteria, a photosynthetic bacterium spread across Earth's oceans, began producing oxygen as a byproduct of converting sunlight into energy. Oxygen is corrosive. For organisms that evolved in an oxygen-free world, it was poison. The Great Oxidation Event triggered the first mass extinction in Earth's history, eliminating most life on the planet by replacing their atmosphere with a gas they had never been designed to handle. The survivors were the ones that could use oxygen rather than be killed by it. Using oxygen turned out to be a dramatically more efficient way to generate energy than anything before it. Every animal alive today, including you, runs on the metabolic system that evolved to exploit that ancient crisis. Earth then swung into catastrophic cold. Without methane as a greenhouse gas, global temperatures plummeted. Glaciers spread from poles to equator. For tens of millions of years, the entire planet may have been covered in ice. Scientists call it Snowball Earth. Life survived, somehow, in volcanic vents, in liquid pockets beneath the ice, in concentrations of chemistry the cold could not reach. It always survived. That is the single consistent fact across 4.5 billion years of Earth history. Every extinction created conditions for something more complex to emerge. Around 530 million years ago, approaching your left wrist, the ice had long since retreated and life erupted in a diversification so rapid that geologists call it an explosion. The Cambrian explosion is the moment when almost every body plan any animal alive today uses was invented in a period lasting roughly 25 million years. Eyes, shells, legs, teeth, the predator-prey relationship, all appearing in the geological record within what amounts to a geological eye blink. Life had discovered that complexity was a strategy. Once the strategy worked, it never stopped. Around 375 million years ago, a few inches from your left wrist, a fish evolved limbs strong enough to push itself out of shallow water and across dry land, not as an adventure, as an escape. The oceans had become full of armored predators. The land was unoccupied. That fish's descendants are still using the same basic limb structure today. Forests appeared, insects the size of birds, oxygen levels high enough to support the world's first wildfires, then reptiles, then evolving quietly in the background while reptiles dominated everything large enough to compete for. The first mammals, around 252 million years ago, at the base of your left hand, the largest extinction event in Earth's history unfolded. Not an asteroid, volcanoes. The Siberian traps erupted continuously for roughly a million years, releasing enough carbon dioxide and sulfur dioxide to acidify the oceans and heat the atmosphere beyond the tolerance of most complex life. 96% of all marine species disappeared, 70% of all land animals. The Great Dying reduced life on Earth to a relative handful of survivors who had to rebuild from almost nothing. They rebuilt. They always rebuilt. The survivors were ancestors of dinosaurs, and in the ecological vacuum left by everything that had been erased, they diversified rapidly into the most successful group of large animals the planet had ever produced. For 165 million years, spanning most of your left hand, dinosaurs occupied every major land ecosystem. They were faster, larger, more diverse, and more behaviorally complex than popular images capture. They were not failures. They were one of evolution's greatest experiments. Then, 66 million years ago near your last knuckle, a rock 10 kilometers across struck the Yucatan Peninsula at roughly 20 kilometers per second. The energy released was approximately 2 million times greater than the largest nuclear weapon ever detonated. The blast, the firestorm, and years of blocked sunlight ended 75% of all species on Earth. The mammals that survived were small underground, eating insects and seeds, not impressive, but warm-blooded, fast reproducing, and capable of surviving on the margins of a world that had just been swept clean of the animals that dominated it. Within 10 million years, mammals had diversified into bats, whales, horses, and the primate lineage. Within 60 million years, a branch of that lineage descended from the trees, began walking upright, and developed hands capable of making tools. Within the last 10,000 years, on the very tip of your fingernail, those hands built agriculture, cities, writing, mathematics, telescopes, and spacecraft. Every civilization, every language, every discovery ever written down occurs in a sliver of time so thin that the paint on your fingernail is the honest analogy for it. You are an extremely recent development. The processes that produced you took 4.5 billion years of trial and catastrophe and recovery and slow elaboration, each extinction resetting the board for something more complex than what it replaced. The story is not over. Whatever comes after us in geological time is as unknowable to us as we would have been unknowable to the cyanobacteria pumping oxygen into a methane sky 2.4 billion years ago. We are not the point of the story. We are the most recent chapter of something that began in a cloud of gas around a newborn star and has been running continuously ever since, through every snowball, every collision, every quiet billion years of chemistry working out the details in the dark. And it is still running, right now, under your feet and above your head and in every cell in your body all at once. Welcome to Earth. You arrived very recently. Try to pay attention.